welcome to this Capricorn New Moon. If your life feels like a karmic, unclear mess lately, then you definitely want to stick around for the first part of this video because I'm going to explain why. There's so many things that are going on at the time of this Capricorn New Moon. So this is not just a normal Capricorn New Moon, even though the new moon itself is not aspecting anything else astrologically. There are so many other important things going on that can make this time very, very intense. So definitely listen up and stay tuned for the beginning part of the video. So we are now moving into Capricorn season and out of Sag season, where we just got a whole new perspective on reality, the world, our own lives, on our own selves. We have been seeing a lot of things from the other side, learning how to hold duality, learning what really matters to us, learning what's actually meaningful to us in our lives. And now we are ready to move ahead somewhat. Kind of ready, but kind of not ready. We're kind of ready to start planning things. We're kind of ready to start understanding more about where we're headed from here. How do we move forward? What does our future look like from here? It feels very unclear, unpredictable. So how do you plan to move forward in a very unclear, unpredictable time? How can we really use this Capricorn energy to its fullest in such a unclear, karmic, slowing down kind of time period, right? And that is what we're about to discuss. So let's get into it. And as always, if you are new here, my name is Tawny Michelle. I am an astrologer here on the internet. Make sure to interact down below. Let me know how you're feeling this crazy energy lately. I know the readings I have been doing have been absolutely insane. I know so many of you are going through really life-changing, transformational shit at the moment, and you're not alone. Trust me, you're not alone. So this is a very, very important and karmic time. As I've been saying, this is not just like, oh yeah, like things are good and everything's great. Like so many things are coming full circle. We're learning so many karmic lessons. We're seeing so many different sides of different things. Plus, this time of year, having a Capricorn new moon right now can feel a little bit rough. I know for me, it's been a little bit rough because Capricorn wants to focus on the physical. It wants to do something with its time, manage its time better, manage how we are interacting with the physical on an everyday basis, whether that be through our habits, our routines, our work, our projects, cleaning our houses. But this time of year can feel very slow, as many of us have just, had holidays, and a lot of us are likely on breaks and our kids are on breaks. And so it's a weird time of year. And so this time of year and having a Capricorn new moon right around this time of year can feel a bit wonky and feel a little bit hard. Like we can feel like we are ready to crave that structure again, ready to start planning and moving forward and get back into some kind of management of our lives, while also still kind of feeling slow and almost hungover from the last year and all the energies that have been happening lately, all the big, astronomical transits that we've been going through. And so plus it's like, this Capricorn new moon is happening on December 30th, so it's literally like a day before New Year's Eve. And so it's like the year's kind of over, but it's not yet. So it's just a really wonky time. So if you're feeling a little bit slow, but you're also beating yourself up for it because it's like, I got shit to do, or I feel like I should be more productive, like there's this energy with Capricorn that can really feel like I need to be being more productive in my life. And I've been feeling that really heavily since Capricorn season started, but this whole week has just been a slow down. It just feels like energy is moving more and more slowly, and it makes sense because we have a Mars retrograde, we have other planets coming out of retrograde that are still moving quite slowly. And so even as we enter January, yes, there could be some elements that start feeling like we are in a new year because we are having a lot of different things happen in January. Like the nodes are going to be changing signs, which is going to be huge. Mars is going to be retrograding back into Cancer, but we're still revisiting the past and we're still going to be reflecting on this past year. We're not ready to move forward just yet with the Mars retrograde. There's still so many elements about our future and about what we want and about what we truly, truly need to move forward on, where we truly need to direct our energy, that is still unclear and unpredictable because so many things are up in the air right now with Saturn and Pisces, which is the ruler of this new moon, squaring Jupiter and coming off of its square of with Jupiter, just recently. And so there's so much going on. There's so many karmic cycles that are coming to a close. So don't be too hard on yourself if you're still integrating all the shit, and if life feels kind of slow or is forcing you to slow down right now. It can feel kind of like whiplash coming from Sag season, which was very quick and fiery, but still like a lot going on, and Jupiter ruled sign feeling kind of more optimistic and hopeful, and then moving into a Saturn ruled sign, Capricorn, which is like, all right, work, bitch, we got shit to do, you know? So don't be too hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up too much if you feel like you're not managing your life to the fullest. We'll definitely go over how you can use this energy to the fullest right now, so don't worry. Okay, so for anybody that's new to astrology, let's start here. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I feel like most of you guys that watch my channel now are pretty in the loop with what a new moon is and all that jazz. So as I always start with, what the fuck is a new moon? So a new moon is a new beginning. It's when the sun and the moon align in the same sign. It's when they align in the sky and the moon goes dark, which symbolized to the ancients and the ancient astrologers that a new beginning was forming. New beginning was underway, but because it's dark, we can't always quite see or feel what this new beginning is going to be about. But there has been certain glimpses of it in the lead up to the new moon and this Capricorn energy. Like, we know it's going to have something to do with this Capricorn energy that we are dealing with right now and where this new moon is happening in the sky right now. Capricorn is an earth sign, a cardinal earth sign, so it's very much about leadership. Being a cardinal sign and being an earth sign, it's very much about leadership in the physical realm and the material realm. What you can see, feel, and touch, your reality, being very practical, being very grounded, being maybe a little bit stubborn or a little bit more stern, a little bit more rough around the edges. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and so because of that reason, it gives it this kind of conserving energy that roots into tradition, accountability, boundaries, self-respect, responsibility, you know, managing our lives, being able to be self-disciplined, being able to manage our lives, our physical matters, our physical environments, and our physical surroundings and lives in a way that aligns with building something for the long term, with something that's going to last. That's not just like, you know, quick, easy, and whatever, but something that actually is going to last and be worth it and valuable in the long term. When it comes to Capricorn energy, a lot of the times around a Capricorn new moon, it is about getting our shit together, getting a little bit more serious about our lives, kind of feeling this serious tone start to kind of pour in. And this is why around this time of year, when people start the new year, people get very serious about their New Year's resolutions. Usually it doesn't last though, because unfortunately our calendar doesn't actually match the astrology. So the astrological new year really should start around Aries season on the spring equinox. And if anything, if you're gonna set intentions, it should have been on the winter solstice on December 21st, because we are kind of ending the year, our calendar kind of ends the year before it naturally ends. That's why a lot of people don't end up kind of sticking to their New Year's resolutions, because they're starting it in Capricorn season. But a lot of times in the middle of Capricorn season, because January, by the time we get to January, we're almost in the middle of Capricorn season. A lot of the times, you know, people will get to work and they will be serious about something, but unless it's something that you plan on keeping up with and fully committing to for the long haul, fully being there for all the challenges, because there will be challenges. This is a Saturn ruled sign, okay? And Saturn is the great malefic in astrology, okay? It's hard, it's tough. It really teaches us endurance and perseverance and the harder lessons in life. Saturn is about maturing, aging, karmic things. This time of year in a Capricorn new moon is really a time where we feel a little bit more motivated to start cleaning up the areas of our physical lives that need to be cleaned up, where we feel more motivated to, you know, set boundaries, take accountability for what's not been working, and make changes and become the manager in our lives again, and stop waiting for something else or someone else to come in and save the day, right? Like, it's our lives, it's our choices, it's our decisions. These are our responsibilities. Where have we been slacking? Where have we been making excuses? Where have we been out of integrity? Where have we been kind of slipping into avoidance or slipping into escapism or slipping into almost disrespectful energy? Because it really is. It's like disrespect of self, right? Like, respect is another big thing with Capricorn energy. It's like, where are we disrespecting ourselves by putting things off, by not taking things seriously that need to be taken seriously, by not getting shit done that needs to be done, where we've been making excuses for ourselves. When we do that, we basically are saying to ourselves that we can't handle it, right? I can't handle this. Oh, that's too much. You know, I can't clean my house that's been needed to be cleaned for however long because it's too much. I'm not powerful enough, right? We release the control that we have over the things that we can control. And when we do that, we're saying that we're no longer in control. We're no longer in the driver's seat, right? And so this is very much about handling our lives. The hard, tough stuff that we haven't been wanting to do, right? The shit that we've been putting off, like that's going to be what comes up around a Capricorn new moon. The places where we haven't been setting boundaries to get the shit done that we need to get done, or the places that we haven't been setting boundaries with other people, you know, where we haven't been actually doing the hard shit. And some of it can be small. It doesn't even, it's like we can make something a bigger deal than it is, right? Like it can be small stuff, like doing the dishes, which is a personal thing for me, right? Like I always make doing the dishes into this big thing, even though it literally takes 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes of my time. And so it's like, this is a time of being more self-disciplined and taking responsibility of our lives and our own physical results, of being the grown-up and the adult again in our lives, being more disciplined, maturing, right? Dealing with things from the mature adult perspective rather than the little child that wants to run away and hide and not face this shit because it's hard. That is one way to really deal with this Capricorn energy. And you're going to find that if you do deal with it this way, you are going to feel more accomplished. You're going to feel better about yourselves, and you're going to feel less lost in the sauce and like shit's not moving forward, or, you know, whatever, right? Now, like I said in the beginning, there is also this slowdown that's also happening lately. So we can feel a little bit less motivated. Our energy may not be, you know, super high and mighty around this time. We definitely are feeling this slowdown. So don't be too hard on yourselves if you can't get every little thing done, right? Don't make excuses for it if you know you can get it done though, right? You can still work on things little bits at a time, right? Like I have been weirdly, oddly not feeling well the last few days, and I am working on the 2025 horoscopes, and I have a lot still to get done. And I all of a sudden start feeling not well. You know, it's like every time I stood up, I would get like lightheaded, dizzy, nauseous, like nothing was working. You know, I'd constantly like eat something because that's what usually helps. Like if I feel like ungrounded like that. But it's like it would go away briefly, but it would come back, you know? And so I would lay down for a little bit, feel better, feel like my energy's up again, get up, start getting ready to get back at it, and then it would return. And so it's like there can be things that are kind of out of our control that we're dealing with. And so today I allowed myself to rest for most of the day. And then after that, I got up, and when I was feeling well, I sat down to film this video, and I'm going to try to film more after it, you know, if I can. So, but I'm still using the time that I have, right? Again, being the manager in your life, right? If like you like look at your life and look at yourself as like you're managing a restaurant or a business or whatever, right? And one employee, one part of yourself or one side of yourself or one aspect of your life is coming to you and say, oh my gosh, you know, so-and-so didn't do this, or we need to get this done, or this problem is occurring. How would you manage that situation? Right? So how have we been managing our lives? And is it comfortable? Are we happy with it? What needs to change? Where have we been slacking on being the adult, being the mature one in our lives, and kind of like chilling in the back seat or in the passenger seat and letting other people take the wheel, and wondering like why we're not moving forward and why life sucks, basically, you know? Like, and so that's so much what this Capricorn energy is about. And here's the other thing with Capricorn. Capricorn is the opposite sign to Cancer. And we're going to have a Cancer full moon next in a couple of weeks, and I'll talk more in depth about that then. But what I have also noticed with Cancer and Capricorn, because I'm very familiar with these signs as my nodes are in them, is that Cancer, you know, the opposite of Capricorn is Cancer, because Cancer deals with the emotional realm. Capricorn deals with the physical realm. So a lot of the times we neglect our physical realm and the things we need to get done and the things we need to do because we are more worried about our mood, how we're feeling. Like that's the big thing for me. It's like, oh, I don't feel like it, you know? Like I don't feel like running errands. I don't feel like doing the dishes. I don't feel like being an adult today, yada, 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 you know? Like, but we have to remember that like, we are an adult, right? And if, I'm not saying to completely bypass your feelings here, because there is going to be something there to your feelings with Mars soon retrograding back into Cancer and a Cancer full moon coming up here. And the ruler of this new moon being in Pisces, Saturn being in Pisces right now. So it's like, if we are feeling some way, and if we do feel like it's constantly coming up, like, let's unravel it, let's go into it, let's actually like figure it out, rather than, just like escaping it and watching Netflix all day and then feeling like shit about it. You know what I mean? How can you balance your emotional world with your physical world? And a lot of you, I'm telling you, because it happens every single time around this time of year, if you actually start doing things in your physical, you will find that your emotional world, your internal world, how you're feeling, your mood will get better. Like, when I finally got up and I did start getting ready to do this and I did start moving more and all of that, I started feeling better and better and better and better, right? And I notice every time around this year, like, I'll clean, rearrange, and it does wonders. Like, the shift that it can cause to your internal world when you actually get moving and clean things up in your life will be like astronomical around this time. So your physical reality will and is affecting your emotional reality right now. So if you feel all stuck and lost and clogged up in your life, what does your house look like? Have you been like feeling like, I just like, this room has just been bothering me for a while and I've been meaning to rearrange it? There may be some stuck energy there, right? It may be time to rearrange some shit, to move some shit around, like whatever it is, right? Like, if your office is a mess, if you're drained of energy because you feel like you're doing for everybody else, well, what do your boundaries look like? Where are you saying no in your life? That's a big one that I feel is coming up recently, just recently. I've been noticing it. Where are you saying no in your life? And where are you not? Where do you need to, right? Like, and you can have boundaries, right? You are allowed to have boundaries. You are allowed to have standards. Obviously, we're never going to be perfect, and we can't expect perfection from other people and from ourselves. And we don't need to beat ourselves up when we drop the ball on it, right? But we need to learn from it and do something different, right? That's when we feel the best. And so, we feel the best about ourselves when we are managing ourselves and our own lives in a way that feels good for us. And sometimes that means doing the hard things that we've been bypassing, avoiding, escaping, running from, whatever the case may be. So this is really, really crucial for this Capricorn new moon, and really any Capricorn new moon. So the bigger kind of issue here is that the ruler of this new moon is Saturn, like I said, because Saturn rules Capricorn, and Saturn is in Pisces, just finishing its square with Jupiter and Gemini, where we have really gotten a lot of perspective shifts over the last couple of months. Where we have, like I said before, maybe felt what it was like to walk a mile in someone else's shoes, or experience what other people had been experiencing, or we have been going through massive belief shifts, massive shifts with our outlook, our viewpoints, our world views, our perspectives on our lives, on ourselves, on our realities, on certain situations in our lives. We've been going through a massive change in our outlook and in our beliefs and in our worldviews over the last few months now, potentially even, longer than that for some of you. Now, what it can feel like with this new moon coming in, and with this new moon, being ruled by Saturn, who's just coming off a square to Jupiter, it's like, how do we move forward with these new outlooks? How do we move forward with this new information, right? How do we manage our lives, Capricorn new moon, from here on out with this intel and these massive new insights and outlooks, right? And so the future can feel kind of unknown, unclear. Also with, Pluto and Aquarius, Saturn rules that sign too. So this new moon, we could be feeling some of that energy. Plus Mars is making its second opposition as it's retrograding back. And Leo, it's also opposing Pluto, almost exactly a couple degrees off from exact around this new moon. So this is an intense time, right? Like, whatever we were feeling back in like October, November, even December, like we are coming back around to a lot over the last few months. And January is also going to be a reflection month. There is going to be some new shifts happening in January, but January is a massive month of like previews and reflecting. It's still not really a month of moving forward just yet, with Mars retrograding, and then also Venus and Mercury getting ready to go retrograde starting their shadow periods, right? So there's a lot going on that we have learned, that we are integrating, that feels like, wow, like the new beliefs, perspectives, ideas, outlooks that have come in can make, our lives a few months ago look like they were so small, or our problems, earlier this year seem like minuscule to the things that, we've learned, or the outlooks, the shifts that we've went through the last few months. And it can feel very karmic. Like I said, this is a very, very karmic sensitive time. I've been saying that in my last several videos. I've had so many karmic lessons coming full circle the last few months. I mean, it's been absolutely insane, like where we were on one side of a situation at one point in the past and saw things this way. Now we're on the opposite side and seeing things a different way and seeing things through another lens. And like it just feels so karmic, right? It feels like so many things are coming back from the past and old cycles are closing, and it feels like new ones are coming soon, but there's still so much about the future that feels unknown and unclear. So it's like, how do we manage shit and plan for shit when things feel unknown? It's like, how do we do that? Not only that, but with this Mars, I'm going to talk about how to do it in just a second, but with this Mars-Pluto opposition and Leo and Aquarius that we're feeling again, and that's getting really heated up again, we've been humbled in some way over like the last several weeks. We started to find our confidence and what our heart's desire was again, and feeling our passions again, and feeling kind of this forward momentum again. But now Mars is retrograde, so we are kind of retracting and reflecting on a lot and realizing that maybe there's a little bit more that needs to be revealed before we can fully move forward and take action in our lives. And so there's still shit that we need to figure out, basically. There's still more to the story here. We could be feeling a little bit humbled from everything that's been happening, or everything coming full circle, and all of these different things, all of the different changes, and whatever Pluto brought into your life when it was opposing Mars before, and the big changes and shifts and things that it brought to light in your life could feel kind of humbling. And so Mars retrograde in Leo right now is feeling a bit humbled, retracting a little bit, retreating a little bit. So like I said, we're not actually moving forward in this new year right away, because there's still, Mars retrograde and still more that's gearing up to go retrograde. So it can feel like we're really gearing up for something right now, right? So it's like, okay, well, what can we do, right? What can we do during this time frame? And, Mars opposite Pluto, really bringing in this kind of like what we want versus what's good for everybody, or what's the greater good. Learning to put our own desires and passions and our own fun aside for maybe something more intense, serious, etc. going on with others or outside of us in some way, or with the world or friends, or whatever, the greater good in some way. Learning to, or relationships even, it could be a lot of different things depending on where this is happening in your chart. But what can we do? Like I said, number one is really managing your life, focusing on what you do have control over. With Saturn ruling this new moon in Pisces, Saturn being in Pisces, ruling this new moon in Capricorn, it's very, very much about like, what do you have control over and what do you not, right? Because, Saturn and Pisces is like, hey, there are certain things that are unknown. There are certain things that are out of your control. There are certain things that are unpredictable. There are certain things that we don't know about yet, right? But it's so much about, like I've been saying my last several videos, leaving what you can't control up to the universe, your higher power, Buddha, Jesus, like whatever you believe in. So focus on what you can control, what you can manage.
Hi, editing me here. So something else that I kind of thought about, and I do mention this a little bit in a little while, but something else I really wanted to emphasize is also forgiving ourselves with Saturn and Pisces. That's been a huge one. Forgiving ourselves, forgiving the past, forgiving old shit, right? And with this new moon in Capricorn being ruled by Saturn, forgiving ourselves and not shaming ourselves for where we haven't been, living up to certain standards that we had set for ourselves, or certain goals that we had set, or certain boundaries, whatever, right? We can change those things still, right? But releasing any bullshit, any shame, any old emotion that we're attached to that needs to go about it.
And really being in the here and now. How can you getting a little bit more disciplined in your life, whether that's coming back into some kind of routine, picking up healthy habits that you've dropped recently, meditating, making time, carving time to meditate every day, or get back into certain healing, self-development, healthy spiritual practices, right? Take control of your life again, because you can control your life. You can't always control other people or the outcomes of certain things, right? But you can control your life. And so bring it back to the here and now. What is going on right here, right now? Right? The future will work itself out. It always does. We will get clear on the future that we want and how we want to move forward and all of that. That is going to come. Okay. But right now, what can you focus on? Right now, what's the deal? What's the deal with your life? Where are things at? Right? What do you know that you can start doing right now? That's what's important, right? So set the hard and uncomfortable boundaries if you need to, and you've been slacking, right? Take accountability for the shit that you've been putting off. Own it. You don't have to blame yourself for it. You don't have to shame yourself for it, right? Like, so many people have an issue with accountability or apologizing even, or taking ownership of their lives because they think that it means they're a terrible person and, oh my God, it's my fault. I know, you know what I mean? Like, we all know that person or even that family member that loves to play the victim when they get called out for something. You know what I mean? And it's like as soon as you call them out, they're just like, I know, I'm a horrible person. It's like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, you made that decision, right? So you can't blame other people if you're the one, if you're the one making the decision, right? You have to own your side of the street, own your part, be a big girl, be a big boy, whatever, own your part in shit. You don't have to sink into shame and guilt and, oh my God, making it mean that you're some kind of horrible person, but look at yourself, right? Time to be here and now. Time to be in the present. Set the uncomfortable boundaries. Take accountability for the shit that you've been putting off. And don't get into some emotional spiral with it about what it all means. Just yeah, I own up to that. I wasn't at my best that day, or I didn't perform at my best, or I put that off again and it caused issues, or yeah, I've been somewhat lazy lately, but I'm moving on now, right? Let the past go, let whatever past issues that are coming up around this time go, and don't spiral in what it all means and trying to find the meaning of it all, right? We got enough about the meaning of everything last month in Sag season, right? Now it's a time of being practical, focusing on reality, coming back to earth and focusing on the here and now and what we can do right here, right now, right? And so if you're worried about the future or you're worried about the past, you're not in the present moment, right? Because all we have now is the present moment. That is where your power lies. And so when we don't feel like we're in our power, it's because we're living somewhere else in a different timeline, with what's dead in the past, or what we're scared about for the future, or, what we want in the future. And it's we need to really hone in and narrow our vision on right here, right now, and believe and trust with that Saturn and Pisces feminine energy, right? Believe and trust that the things that we don't have control over will be sorted out how they are meant to, and accept that, right? Accept what we are powerless over. Okay. Leave the unknown up to Buddha, whoever, let them handle that shit. Like I said, your physical reality and environment really can influence your emotional and internal, reality right now. So the littlest things can make the biggest difference, right? Really finally, cleaning out your car, cleaning out your house, cleaning out that storage closet, whatever it is that you've been needing to do in terms of getting your own life together, adopting those, healthy habits again, eating different, getting exercise. Just start for this new moon, because that's where you're going to feel different. That's where you're going to start feeling better. And trust me, my North Node's in Capricorn. So I truly understand this, because these are lessons that come up time and time again throughout my life. Anytime I'm lost in my Cancer South Node, lost in the sauce, feeling like a lost soul, not having any direction on where I'm going, just lost in my emotions and feeling like a hot mess. These are the things I always have to come back to, and they're simple because it's Earth, right? All freaking advice, all good advice, all good wisdom is going to be simple. And it's going to be likely something you've heard before, or likely something that you knew deep down that you needed to do the whole time, right? But you were just ignoring, right? Because we always have the answers. The answers are always within. Remember that your physical reality is really, really affecting your internal reality at this time and your emotional world. So what can you manage, move around, like if it's like a chessboard, you know, like what can you move around and change and rearrange in your physical reality that is potentially causing an emotional stuckness in your internal reality. Capricorn is also very much about foundations, right? Getting back to the basics, right? So getting back to like the simple everyday things, the physical things in our lives, the grounding things in our lives that feel maybe very boring or mundane or monotonous or even tough or hard or uncomfortable at times, but they actually do work and help. They actually will make a difference, especially right now during Capricorn season. So your foundation, that's why I keep using examples of like your home, right? Your everyday life, your everyday environment. Like, where is your foundation in your life jacked up? Where do you need to change some things, move some things around, clean some shit out? Right? Because here's the thing, we can't even start thinking about the future and our goals, which Capricorn also can deal with. But right now there's just so much unknown that it can feel kind of not helpful almost to think about our future and our goals. So we have to come back to like right now, the here and now, the present, because that's all we have. That's where the power is. That's where you will find your power again, right? And then start getting in touch with, you know, your next goals. So set small goals for yourself right now. You can't add more shit to a foundation that's already loaded with stuff, right? Or messy or breaking or cracking. It's like, so we need to kind of get our foundation level first and in a place where we feel good about it. And that includes both our physical and our internal worlds, right? So if we're feeling like not in the mood all the time, we're feeling not motivated, we're feeling out of energy, what are we doing in our lives physically that is contributing to that? What physical things are happening in our lives that are making us feel that way? Are we loading ourselves up? Is our to-do list like forever long and we've been putting it off for however long, right? Start small, right? Start small. Or remember that you're a badass freaking mama jamma. You are an adult. You are a grown-up, and take responsibility for your life and start getting shit done. That is the Capricorn energy. So stop waiting on your feelings to do what you need to do, because your feelings will feel better once you do what you need to do. Not saying that's going to help every single time for every single one of you, because it all depends, right? But right now during this season, that is what we see a lot. When we are like, okay, like I don't feel like it, yada, yada, yada. And we're like, okay, but I need to do this. And we get out of our heads and we get into our bodies, right? And we get out of our emotions and we get into our bodies and we do physical things that can make a huge difference on our internal emotional worlds. So focus more on the physical during this time. The emotional will still come up because, again, we're going to have a full moon in Cancer in a couple weeks, which we'll worry about then. But it's also a full moon, so it's also showing us, you know, a culmination point of something. It's not necessarily a new emotional beginning. It's more so letting go of old things, old emotions, past things, right? But Mars is also going to be retrograding in Cancer, reflecting on what past things we need to sever and let go of, reflecting on emotional and internal conflicts that are not helping us move forward in our lives. So if the more that you focus on the physical and the more you stop waiting on your feelings and your mood to do everything, the less like shit you will feel. Okay, so you may not be in the mood all the time, and that's okay right now, okay? But still try to do something small, still try to knock some things out that you can, get creative with it, get innovative with it if you have to, and you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. So this Capricorn New Moon in particular is a little bit less about planning and goal setting and all that. It's more about really getting in touch with the here and now again, your physical reality, managing shit, all of that. Okay. Now, what's also really interesting is that Pluto and Mars, their opposition is actually trining and sextiling the nodes as they are almost finishing up in Aries and Libra. Again, really faded karmic shit is happening here with the Leo and Aquarius part of your chart with Mars and Pluto. So really pay attention what, you know, happened when they first were opposing, right? Which was, oh, duh. How did I not remember that? End of October. I mean, you could have been feeling it, the whole month, honestly. But end of October, or November, so around the election time period, what else did you notice coming into your life at that time? Plus, they still opposed as well, moving into Leo and Aquarius through November, even though they were coming off their opposition, so it wasn't as intense. And then Pluto entered Aquarius the end of November. So what intense oppositions have been happening in your life? And for some, it could be conflicts, but for others, it's more like two areas of your life that you're really having to try to balance, right? That you're really trying to have to find a middle ground with, and, dealing with really intense themes of, Pluto with death and mortality and darkness, or the shadow side of something, or something toxic, or something manipulative, or massive transformation. Something that even maybe has been going on for a little while, but it just recently came to the surface in some way. So like themes of control, power, powerlessness, obsession, shadow side of our lives, and really deep, intense experiences, resourcefulness. On the really darker side, like abuse or brutality, things like that. And with it being in Aquarius now, it's really bringing out the themes in, socially and with other people and in the collective. And then with that being opposite Mars, and Mars really ruling like our drive and our sense of, moving forward and to go after and get what we want and what we desire, with being in Leo, our heart's desires and our childlike nature and our confidence and our excitement and our exuberance and our joy and our passion, right? How we identify ourselves and our own sense of individuality, our own sense of courage and confidence, right? And all of that. So like, where have you noticed these things potentially in opposition with each other? I know as a Leo rising, with it being in my first house, I've definitely seen the opposition there with Pluto in my seventh, like dark, kind of shadowy things coming up from the past in relationships, and things like a lot of topics of powerlessness and control. Meanwhile, also with Mars in my first house, like really understanding what matters to me and what I'm willing to fight for and what I'm willing to move towards and what I'm willing to put my energy into and things like that, right? So anyways, with this opposition, sextiling and trining the nodes in Aries and Libra, this is really big. Karmic, fated. Also around this new moon, we're also coming off of Venus squaring Uranus, bringing up some potential surprises, breakthroughs, or shocks coming within relationships in our lives, other people, all of that. And so there's definitely a lot going on here still, even though it's a Capricorn new moon, that's not aspecting anything, right? And so anyways, let me know down below if you watched the whole first part of this video. Comment down below sexy alien so I know. Also, if you did watch the first part of this video, also let me know if I said anything in here that related, if it was what you needed to hear, if you really are noticing any of these themes I brought up lately. I just love to hear your feedback on that and just on the astrology and what's happening, because I'm an astrologer and I'm a nerd. So I'm an astrology nerd. So I want to know what you're feeling and how you're noticing these themes come up in your own life. So, and the rising sign timestamps will be linked down below as always. I always have them down there for you guys. And thank you guys so much for watching this. If you would like to get a more personalized reading for what the hell is going on with you right now, or what is going on in your year ahead personally, definitely book down below. My readings are still on sale. I'm going to keep them on sale probably through like another week, the very beginning of the year. So make sure to check that out if you would like to grab readings right now at a discounted price. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, I love you guys. Let's get into what this means for your rising sign. Alrighty, Capricorn Risings, happy new moon in your first house. Hopefully you guys are doing well. So usually a new moon in your first house feels pretty good because it feels like you, right? Like it feels like, oh, right, this is who I am again, right? Like this is me, right? Like this is me, this is familiar, right? And so a new moon in your first house can really bring this sense of like, oh, like, okay, like I see where I've been a little lost in the sauce now. I'm ready to kind of come back to myself. I'm ready to kind of start new things. I'm ready to focus more on myself and what I need to do for me and managing myself and my own life, and, get a little bit more serious and practical about my life and come back to a sense of, reality, right? And, all of that. So this new moon happening in your sign could definitely be kind of this feeling of like new moon, new me, or some kind of new beginning starting underneath the surface where you're definitely feeling a little bit more like you again, or really getting back to a sense of practicality, managing your own life, a sense of being more grounded in who you are. And so that's usually good, obviously. So with that being said, though, the ruler of this new moon is Saturn, which is in your third house, in Pisces. And so even though that you're feeling grounded in, who you are and maybe your identity again, or starting to at least, and starting to kind of get back to who you are and get back to your sense of self and what you want to do, you still maybe also feeling a little bit like there are certain things in your environment that you're wanting to clean up or that you're wanting to take control of that are somehow out of your control, right? And so this is where the kind of polarity for this new moon kind of comes in, because it's like, okay, like there are things that I want to start doing in my reality or in my life or with myself, or I want to start getting serious about, taking care of me or my body or my appearance again. But there's certain things in my environment that, I don't have control over just yet, or that are kind of, feeling a little bit wonky or feeling a little bit unknown or unpredictable. And that's fine. There are certain situations that you're going to have to kind of like control what you can control, take control over what you do have control over. And like I said in the beginning half of this video, which if you didn't watch, you're definitely missing out. I mean, why wouldn't you want to hear all about you? But basically, if there are certain things that really are out of your control, leave those to something higher than yourself, right? Or whatever you believe in, the universe, Buddha, whatever, right? It's like, okay, I can't keep worrying about this because it's out of my control. I also could see this because this new moon is kind of sextiling Saturn, which is your chart ruler. Could also see this like coming back to you in a creative way, or expressing yourself in a creative way, feeling more creative, or spiritually in tuned or intuitive about certain things that you're doing in your environment, your community, locally, close to home, being more social potentially around this time, or having social connections or short travels, dealing with siblings, distant relatives, etc. So those could be some other ways that this could play out as well. Now, on top of that, during this new moon, we are really coming back into almost the exact Mars and Pluto opposition over the next week. And so with that being said, this is happening in your second and eighth house here. And so there's been something that you have been going through, some kind of situation that maybe really feel like out of your control, or really feel like you're powerless over, or some kind of opposition, some kind of extreme, intense, or really deep situation that you've been going through financially, okay? Regarding your own resources, maybe even certain losses or certain issues you've been going through with your own resources, things that you own or things that you, that you have versus other people's resources, or, basically what's yours versus other people's, or debt or banks or, contracts, financial agreements with others, things like that, business related things. Anything like that could be really coming up here, and you've been really kind of reflecting on, how much power your priorities and your values and the things that you own or the things that you have or your finances either have over you or potentially over others for some of you. But there's definitely a deep situation, an intense situation, a lot of change coming up here in this department that has been kind of ongoing and not quite solved yet, right? So what are you willing to let go of? What are you willing to part ways with? What are you willing to retreat on? What are you willing to fight for? What are you willing to be courageous for? things like this could really, really be coming up right now around this time. Okay, so it's definitely really interesting. And with the sun moving through your sign, ruling Leo in your 8th house, it's like you could feel like you kind of identify with some of these things, whether it's a business or whether it's certain investments or an inheritance or certain financial, financial contracts, agreements, etc. Like you could feel like what you do in this situation is going to say a lot about who you are in some way. And so some of that could be coming up for some of you guys. So it's a really intense time with Mars and Leo. It's like an opposite Pluto and Aquarius. It's like, what you want to do individually versus what is better for the greater good. This could also be massive changes in how you're doing something financially, like modernizing something or kind of seeing the shadow side to something that you were doing. So let me know down below if you're a Capricorn rising. I'm really, really interested truly how this is playing out for you and how you're noticing this Mars-Pluto opposition in your 2nd and 8th house. And, Mars on January 6th is going to move retrograde out of Leo and move back into Cancer, your 7th house. So somehow your 7th house could end up tying in with this. So your relationships with others, your partnership, your marriage, a business partnership, a friendship, something like that. There could definitely be some tensions there, some stress there, some conflicts there that you're dealing with that may have started or may have came up in some way around like September, October, November timeframe. That you are now reflecting on or addressing, or that are coming back up for you to resolve in a different way or in some other way, in somehow, right? And so definitely let me know down below, Capricorn, how that's resonating and what you are noticing for this new moon coming up and all these other aspects. I would really, really love to hear your feedback and how this is affecting you at this time. And if you missed the beginning, you are missing out on a lot, okay? If this feels like a very karmic time for you and you want to know really what's happening, I think you're going to relate to it a lot. So definitely go back and watch that. And yeah, thank you, Capricorn. We are going to move on to Aquarius risings. So for Aquarius risings, this new moon is in your 12th house. Okay, so this is definitely really showing you where you need to get some of the things that you've been putting on the back burner, subconscious things, subconscious habits, things that you've been avoiding, escaping, things that things that are going on kind of out of your view, or that you've put out of your view that you need to finally manage in some way. It's like time to take control of this shit going on in the background that has been running rampant for however long, right? It's time to own up to something, or own up to your part in something, get really big about self-discipline and really internalizing that and integrating that into your being, manage some of these addictions or unhealthy habits or subconscious habits. So this is some kind of new beginning starting with that here. It's really kind of bringing you inward. It's kind of pulling you out of your normal day-to-day life so you can focus on what the hell is going on behind the scenes. Or this could be even a new moon bringing up some things that you didn't know about, or that were kind of in the shadows or kind of hidden from you. Eventually as the moon kind of builds. But either way, it's definitely a time where you're kind of looking at the subconscious realm of your life and, the background of your life that hasn't been looked at. It's almost like the basement has been a fucking mess forever and we've been avoiding it, and it's time to clean the fucking basement. Okay. That would be very 12th house, right? Like it's time to clean the basement. And it's more so of a metaphor, right? The shit that's been going on underneath the surface that you haven't been addressing and that needs to be addressed finally. Now, the ruler of this new moon is Saturn, and it is in your 2nd house of Pisces. So, you could be doing this in some way to gain. So basically, the more that you clean out, the more that you work through, the more that you manage, the more self-discipline that you partake in, the more that you could really actually see some kind of gain through your hard work, through your finances, right? This could also be bringing up priorities, values, and how that kind of goes into the mix with whatever's going on behind the scenes, right? Really getting clear on your priorities and getting creative about how you want to deal with these things as well with Saturn and Pisces. Now, on top of that, Aquarius, this is a intense week for you, and Leo risings as well, which is me, because we have Mars and Pluto coming into their oppositions in your first and seventh house here. So with Pluto now in your first house, you're definitely feeling a lot breaking down in terms of maybe who you thought you were, your identity, especially depending on, like, especially if your ascendant's probably around like the first 5 to 10 degrees of Aquarius. If it's more out in Aquarius, you may not be noticing these things just yet. I mean, you could more subtly, but a lot of you that are more in that beginning, the beginning of Aquarius are going to notice Pluto there a little bit more. But there could be like a lot of breaking down, change, transformation, regeneration, things that were unknown or subconscious things coming up about yourself, about your identity, what you identify as, your body, your health, your physical, your physical self and your appearance, so there could be a lot of intensity kind of going on with, those areas of you in some way, shape, or form. And with Mars and Leo retrograding in your seventh house, you could be dealing a lot with some kind of changes that are, because you're going through a lot of these like internal deep changes within yourself, or intense, shifts within yourself, your identity, your appearance, your physical body, etc. And Mars is opposing it in your seventh house. It could feel like because of these changes, there's somehow also changes going on with other people in your life or your relationships, right? And so, whereas, like you could be dealing with kind of themes or patterns of like rejection or fitting in versus standing out, being unique versus being liked or validated, right? Like validation and things like that could really be coming up heavy here. With Mars retrograding in your seventh house, there could be intense, deep questions, conflicts, conversation, themes, patterns around, popularity, or around being liked by others or liked by the people closest to you in your life in some way, or wondering if they're really going to like the truest, deepest parts of who you are, and like you through these really vulnerable, transformational changes that you could be going through right now and feel powerless over, right? This could also be, for some of you, deep psychological and subconscious changes that you're not even necessarily 100% aware of or conscious of right now, but that are somehow triggering conflicts or edginess or tension in, relationships, right? In your relationships and your close relationships in your life. So let me know down below if you're an Aquarius rising. I'm really, really curious to know for you guys how this Mars-Pluto opposition is playing out for you. I'm really, because I'm a Leo rising, so I'm opposite of you, and I definitely really have been noticing it personally, and I know a lot of other Leo risings have. So I would love to see and know how this is actually playing out for you guys. So let me know if you have some situations to describe. Let me know down in the comments below. I would really appreciate it. So anyways, Aquarius, also, if you missed the beginning half of this video, you are really, really missing out. I'm not just saying that. There's probably a lot in there that you're going to relate to, okay, as I'm a Leo rising, so I'm opposite of you. So a lot of our same houses and all that are being affected. And all of the beginning and stuff is coming from my outlook as a Leo rising, I can't speak, which is opposite for you. So I think you're going to relate to a lot in the beginning, and it's really deep, and I think, can help you move through these energies if these feel like really karmic, chaotic, sensitive, and fated times for you too. So let me know down below, Aquarius rising, and we are going to move on to Pisces rising. So for Pisces risings, this new moon in Capricorn is happening in your 11th house of other people, your social life, social events, networking, your social status, different groups, friend groups, different people, acquaintances, all of that, marketing, online, stuff, or online events, social media, all that. So this is a time where you could definitely be feeling like you are, like, this new moon could bring up themes of getting more recognition, managing your social life or social events, or, your online social status, or things that you want to do for career, things that you want to achieve, or, managing certain ways or routes to success very differently. And so those are like the big themes and topics that this could be bringing up. But with this new moon being ruled by Saturn, which is in your sign in your first house, and also kind of sextiling Saturn, this is definitely also bringing in this Saturn and Pisces flavor. So it's like, what creative new commitments are you wanting to make in your social life, or to be more known, or to be more recognized, or to gain more respect, or to promote yourself in some way, or be more in the limelight? Or what boundaries, for some of you, this could also be what boundaries do you need to set with others, with friend groups, with your social situations, with social events, with, you know, career related social events and social connections and social networking and all of that, right? Organizations, you know, things like that. So those are some of the things that you could really see coming up this time. You could also be feeling, you know, kind of like you want to take charge in something, or do something a little bit differently, or put yourself out there in like a different way. So that is what this new moon's really bringing in for you if you're a Pisces rising. Now, also, we have Mars and Pluto opposing each other, coming into their exact opposition within the next week. And we're already, you know, we're likely already feeling it in some ways. And we've been dealing with this very transformational opposition over the last few months as well, right? So with Mars being in Leo, which is your 6th house of work, health, and day-to-day routines, okay? You know, so when basically like back, you know, in end of October into November timeframe, you could have been dealing with something that really had to do with matters of the heart, that really had to do with maybe children, you know, dependency, your emotions, moving forward with certain creative projects, and really wanting to get those out in the world, but feeling like you weren't sure. Like there may be some things that you were powerless over, or you were facing some, you know, hard or harsh, you know, situations socially at the time, or not really, you know, like not really, there could have been some kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like power dynamic going on in some way with other people versus what you really wanted, or like what the world expected of you, or what you felt like the world expected of you versus what you actually wanted. Now, you know, then they moved into Leo and Aquarius. And so Mars being in Leo now in your 6th house, coming back around to this opposition, you know, Mars moved into your 6th house, I think the beginning of December. And so you've been really kind of focused on your job and your day-to-day routines and your health, and finding more joy, more creativity, more sparks in that area, more inspiration in that area, more confidence in that area. But, you know, with Pluto opposing it in your 12th house in Aquarius, there could be like a lot of subconscious weird stuff going on underneath the surface that's kind of, you know, in some way holding you back, or it's bringing up some deeper subconscious things, or deeper issues that are causing you to either pull back, or need to rest, or rethink, you know, how you've been moving forward, or how you're going to move forward, or if this is really what you want, or, you know, the goals that you are working towards, if they're really in alignment with you. So, you know, this could also be really bringing up a theme of addictions, habits, you know, things like that as well. And, you know, with Venus moving through your 12th house, like the last month, deep personal, secretive, or hidden things within relationships, things that you've been hiding, or things that other people have been hiding, power struggles, power dynamics within work, or your day-to-day life and your day-to-day reality versus your subconscious reality. So something's going on there. Let me know down below, if you are a Pisces rising, how you are, you know, seeing this play out. I would really love to know. There could be something that you're just feeling a little bit like there could be certain things you're feeling a little bit powerless over, or that you feel might have some kind of control on you, and that's why you're not able to really move forward in confidence in your work and health and day-to-day routines. So yeah, I'm really curious to know, Pisces risings, how this is playing out for you. So please do let me know down below, because I really want to know how this transit's playing out for most people, because I've definitely been feeling it. And if you missed the beginning of this video, you are missing out on a lot, honey. Okay, so you need to go back, you need to take your booty back and go watch that, okay? Because it's going to be really helpful if this feels like a very crazy karmic fated time for you. If it feels like really big things are happening or are about to happen, you need to watch the first part of this video so you can be aware, and which will help you be more kind of like in sync and all of that with the current energies right now. So, okay. Moving on to Aries risings. So for Aries risings, this new moon is happening in your 10th house in the sign of Capricorn. So this new moon for you is definitely bringing up this some kind of new seeds being planted here to do with your career, your public reputation, your public life, how you kind of show yourself to the world, your goals, what you want for your future, recognition, success, your legacy, what you want to leave behind, what you want to really build and achieve in this lifetime, the long-term goals and successes that you want to have, right? The commitments that you want to make to your future. Okay, so these are things that you could be noticing or thinking about over the next several weeks. But with the Saturn and Pisces transit, which is ruling this new moon, being in your 12th house, there could also be something kind of going on in the background, or something kind of going on that's kind of hidden or subconscious, or something that you're kind of healing that is helping you kind of work towards this goal. Or you could be, you could be resting right now, but also really thinking about how you want to move forward, or how you want to achieve these goals, this vision for your future that's forming, or these, things that you want to work towards in your future, in your career in some way. Like I could see you, like, I have these things I want to do, but I'm like on vacation right now, like, or I have these like really big goals that are forming, because I like rested and took a vacation, or, because I've been doing some kind of inner work and healing myself, or because I took a step back and slowed down a little bit, right? So something like that could be happening. And then also the other big part of this new moon is that Mars and Pluto are coming into their exact opposition again over the next week. It will perfect, I believe, right around January, like 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. So before Mars retrogrades back into Cancer. And so this is a huge, huge deal. This is a really intense transit that we've been feeling off and on for like the last few months now. And so you really, really want to be watching out for this. I'm sure you've already noticed it in some ways, but this is happening between your 5th and your 11th house. So, basically the way that I see this is for you, Aries, it's like, I'm going to give you a metaphor that I've used to describe Leo and Aquarius before, right? So the way that I see this kind of playing out for you is like, you've been tapping into like your inner child maybe, or your heart's desires, your passions again, or this feeling of internal confidence and, self-validation, right, etc. But there's also these massive things being uncovered about other people in the world, and how things that you don't have control over, and how they align with these personal, individual joys and desires and passions that you have. And so like the metaphor is with Leo and Aquarius that I have, because I've experienced this to some degree, like not the exact metaphor, but like this is what my life has felt like as a Leo rising with Aquarius placements. But like you work so hard on something and you're so proud of it. Like it's like a kid that like draws something in the classroom and colors something, and they're so proud of it, and they're like, oh my gosh, I love this, and they take so much pride in what they created, and they just loved creating it. They loved the process. They spent so much time on it, and then they go to show it to the classroom, and they're like, look how special my drawing is. Look how special this is. I love it. Like, isn't it good? And the classroom's just kind of like, ew, that sucks. They don't give you any validation or any recognition or any kind of like, oh my God, yes, you won the number one prize for that drawing. You know what I mean? Which is like kind of what you were like expecting, which is very like Leo, right? But I could see something like this kind of going on with you recently. It's like, focusing on your wants versus like fitting in or standing out even, validation, like focusing on your own desires and your own sense of creativity. It could also it could be happening like with even like your children, if you're a parent or something, maybe your children's dealing with like some, I don't want to say bullying, but some tough kids at school, or you're feeling like that, you're dealing with some tough people online, or some, negativity and with some people, or it could even just be your own fears of what other people are going to think about, something that you really desire and want, or that you're creating, or that you find joy in, or, that it's like you're regaining your confidence in this area of life. And Also learning how to let go of the things you don't have power over, which is how the collective or how other people or how the audience or how friends or friend groups or social situations are going to perceive whatever it is that you're doing here, right? So let me know down below if you are an Aries rising, how that is relating and what you have noticed coming up with this transit. I'm really, really curious to know. So please let me know. I mean that. Okay. Like, I really want to know. And then also Mars is going to retrograde back into Cancer on January 6th, where it will start kind of potentially blending in themes of your home, family, and personal and private life and your emotional life, your ancestry, things that you feel very strongly about, themes of safety, security, dependency, parenting, motherhood, things like that could really, really also come up here. So let me know down below, Aries risings, what you guys are noticing with this. I would really, really love to hear your feedback, like I said. And if you missed the first part of this video, you are missing out on a lot. It's going to explain a lot more and kind of widen your perspective and really help you understand how to get through this time period right now. So definitely go back and check that out if you skipped ahead. And we're going to move on to Taurus risings. So what's up, Taurus risings? This new moon for you is happening in Capricorn in your 9th house. So there's definitely a theme here of educational pursuits, looking at what's meaningful to you in life, your outlook in life, your belief systems, travel, things like that, and managing anything that needs to be managed in this area of life, kind of taking accountability or responsibility for your outlook or your belief systems that may have been in some way, holding you back, or that you may not have really looked at up until this point for whatever reason. Setting boundaries with friends or in your social life or with other people or online to, maybe get schoolwork done or get some kind of work done, some kind of project done that you're working towards. Maybe you're learning a new skill or you are really starting some kind of new beginning with something that you're learning in some way, right? And so that's what the new moon could be definitely bringing in here. Now, the other part of this new moon is that Mars and Pluto are coming into their exact opposition over the next week. And so this is a really intense transit that we've been going through off and on for like the last couple months now. And for you, this is happening in your 4th house and your 10th house, right? And what I really see here for you, if you're a Taurus rising, is that with Mars moving through your 4th house of Leo, there's a sense of wanting to feel like the king or the queen in your home, right? Like you kind of have this way about you that wants to feel like you are comfortable and like you are recognized, like you are seen, like you are heard, like your family is very special to you, your roots are very special to you, maybe your home life or your actual home is very special to you. Your personal life is very special to you. What you do behind closed doors and kind of in private is important to you in some way. And with Mars moving through your 4th house, you are kind of moving forward with things and regaining confidence in your home, family, personal, private life area, or maybe moving forward or making decisions or making changes in that area to some extent. And then, though, with Mars going retrograde, you've been having to reflect on this area in some way, shape, or form, or things have kind of slowed down. The momentum that you are building here is kind of slowed down. Now, Mars is coming back into its opposition with Pluto and Aquarius in your 10th house. So there's this push and pull between inner confidence and feeling good and confident and special on the inside and within your own foundation and within your own personal and private life versus carrying that out into the world and dealing with, powerful people that make you feel like maybe you're just another person, right? Like there's nothing special about you, right? Or dealing with certain fears around that, or fears around authority figures, or the world, or your career, or being recognized or being seen, dealing with themes of validation or rejection. Dealing with paranoia or worries about kind of, how you're seen in the world, or, something along those lines. Like there's something here that it's like you could feel somewhat powerless over, or you could even feel like something has some kind of control over you in terms of authority figures, your career, your future, something along those lines, right? Like a boss or something like that, or some people, or like a network of people that you're kind of working towards something with, right? And some of you could kind of be blending the energies beautifully. Like, oh yeah, I know. I mean, I doubt it because this is an opposition and it is Mars, but so there's likely some kind of push and pull or conflict here, but it's like, you're having to realize or maybe give up some of that sense of, feeling like you are, special or different or, better or whatever, to kind of be a part of something greater than yourself, which makes you kind of just fitting in, right? So it's like fitting in versus standing out, themes like that. So I would really be curious to know, though, Taurus, down below, how you are noticing that opposition playing out between your private life, home life, and your career, future, long-term goals, reputation, all of that. I really love to hear how this is playing out for you. And Mars will retrograde back into Cancer on January 6th, where it will then be in your 3rd house and bringing up different emotional conflicts with expressing yourself, travel, learning, education, your community, things like that. So definitely be watching out for that too. But with it being retrograde, you're going to be addressing those things and learning how to approach things in a new way and deal with those emotional hangups around kind of expressing yourself and to do with your environment, siblings, relatives, etc., extended family. That way you can, move forward with more confidence when Mars goes retro, or when Mars goes direct and then moves back into Leo, right? And so it's kind of like being important versus being unimportant, right? Or something along those lines with this Leo-Pluto opposition. So let me know down below, Taurus Risings, if that related with you. And if you missed the first part of this video, you are really missing out on a lot. So definitely go back and watch, because there's a lot going on right now, okay, that you definitely need to be aware of. So, okay. Moving on to Gemini Risings. For Gemini Risings, this new moon in Capricorn is happening in your 8th house of other people's finances and resources, shared finances and resources, debt, banks, business, anything to do with business, anything to do with investments, investors, any financial shit that you got going on to do with other people, institutions, companies, etc., right? Any exchange of money, basically, right? So with the new moon happening here, those are a lot of the topics you're going to see coming up around this time. And you're basically kind of going through a phase right now, or a new beginning that's forming, where you are learning to manage these things better, be more responsible, take ownership about what's not working, take ownership of your life again, mature, grow up, adult, and deal with whatever financial shit that you have going on. It's about kind of dealing with like the tough, mundane stuff that you maybe haven't wanted to deal with, and having to, step up and do something about it, right? Learning to kind of respect yourself again. And the 8th house can also be very much about power. So it's like, empower dynamic. So it's like, if you want to feel more powerful, where are you thinking of yourself or treating yourself as you are not powerful, by putting things off and not dealing with things, right? Which can really affect your own sense of inner power and make you feel like, you just must not be powerful enough to deal with these things that you keep putting off, right? And so this is going to be really big for you around this time. And this also is somehow feeding or affecting your career in some way, or connected to your career in some way, right? And your long-term dreams, your long-term goals, your long-term vision for your future, long-term commitments that you're making are really tying into this as well. Now, the other really big and intense kind of part about this new moon is that we have the Mars-Pluto opposition getting closer and closer, almost exact, over the next week. And this is happening in your 3rd and 9th house. And so as a Gemini rising, you're really figuring out what matters to you in your heart, what you're passionate about learning about, what opinions you have that you're passionate about, what ways that you express yourself creatively that bring you joy, and how your own sense of self-expression, speaking, your own day-to-day life is important or special to you in some way, versus kind of being just a cog in the machine and not feeling that important, or facing rejections for your opinions or your sense of self-expression, or your, creative learning projects or pursuits. So this could have something to do with like, your local environment versus kind of a foreign environment, or an environment that's kind of far away. Could also be kind of like your own opinions and ideas versus, the greater consensus. What's trending versus what's special and important to you. So there's something going on here in that third and ninth house sector with Pluto and Mars. And, Mars and Leo is like, I'm special, I'm confident, like I'm important, and I shine for being who I am, right? And Pluto and Aquarius is like, everybody's the same. Like there's nothing special about you. You know what I mean? So you could be like dealing with themes of rejection, validation, confidence issues, things that like power struggles, things that are like out of your control. Like maybe you express something you're very passionate about, like on the internet, and then like other people, like somehow disagree and it like hurts your feelings a little bit or something. Or maybe you're dealing with some kind of ethics situation with like a school or like a college, or in your local government, and they're being controlled by like the federal government or something. Or maybe you're dealing with, certain laws or certain rules that are affecting your local environment, or, so many different ways that this could be playing out here. So definitely let me know down below, if you're Gemini rising, how you're seeing this play out with this Mars Pluto opposition. I'm really, really interested to know how this is playing out in your third and ninth house. It could also be like maybe you've been wanting to move, or maybe you recently did move and you realize that like you no longer like something that used to make you special like no longer does, or now you're kind of like the outcast in this new area or something, like, so something like that. Please let me know down below though, Gemini risings, what is happening with this, because I'd really, really love to hear your feedback. And I'm just really curious to see how this is showing up for you in your third and ninth right now. And if you missed the beginning, you are missing out on a lot, so definitely go back and watch that. It will definitely help you get a much bigger perspective on what's happening and what's coming and all of that. So definitely check out the beginning if you skipped ahead. So, okay, moving on to Cancer risings. For Cancer risings, Mars, or started right with Mars, but didn't mean to. Okay, for Cancer risings, the new moon is happening in your 7th house of Capricorn. And so this is some kind of new beginning forming with your relationship life. So that could be your marriage, your partnerships, or just relationships in general, close friendships, business partnerships, etc. So this could definitely be a time, it could even be like work relationships as well, but this could definitely be a time where you are noticing that you are needing to kind of manage your social life or your relationships in a different way, maybe set some kind of new boundaries, manage these things based on like a new belief or a new outlook or a new perspective that you've gained recently. Or you could just notice some kind of newness coming in here with like your partner. If you are in a, committed relationship, like something new could be going on in their lives, or some kind of new beginning could be starting with them, right? And so that is kind of what's going on here with this new moon in Capricorn, because it's not really aspecting much. And then also the big, really intense transit we have going on with this is Mars Pluto, which are they're opposite of each other in Leo and Aquarius in your 2nd and 8th house. And so for Cancer risings, you could really be seeing this come up with Mars retrograding in your 2nd house in Leo. You really reflecting on what really brings you joy, what's really important to you, where you really find your sense of fun, purpose, meaning, and passion and confidence in terms of finances, your values, what you own, what you have, and the kind of resources you make, or the resources that you own, and where that gives you a sense of confidence, or a sense of feeling important or special. But with Mars retrograding here, opposing Pluto and Aquarius over the next week, and this could be, these could be themes you've been dealing with for like the last several weeks now. It's almost like giving up that or some of that for something else, or for the greater good, or for some kind of future vision, or for some kind of partnership, or for other people in some way. It's almost like you're releasing control of what you have or what you own, or financial success or confidence or something, your own resources a bit, to basically merge or make some big change financially with other people, or maybe make some big investment, something like that, or some big purchase even. But there's like also an aspect here of you not really having control over something, or you kind of being out of control, or you even dealing with something that may have power over you a little bit, or certain fears, that have power over you, or an unknown, something unknown here. So there's something like that going on between your second house and your eighth house of Leo and Aquarius, also like being special and important versus kind of just fitting in and doing what everybody else is doing, or something like that. So those are other themes you could be noticing as well. So, if you are a Cancer rising, please let me know down below how you are seeing those themes play out. I'm really, really, really curious to know, honestly. So please don't hesitate to leave a comment down below and let me know. I really want to know how that's playing out for you guys. Also, if you missed the first half of this video, definitely go back and watch it. And also, I almost forgot, Mars is going to retrograde back from Leo, your second house, and into your first house. So with that being said, you are definitely going to be feeling that Mars retrograde more starting January 6th once it's in your first house of Cancer. You're going to be reflecting on how to move forward. You're going to be reflecting on certain struggles, conflicts, maybe even frustrations you have with your identity, your appearance, your body. Internal emotional stuff going on with you that needs to be addressed, right? Personal, private stuff going on with you that needs to be addressed. So you're definitely going to be reflecting on how you go about things and how you move forward with things from January 6th onwards. So definitely be on the lookout for that if you're a Cancer rising. Okay, so moving on to Leo risings, my fellow Leo risings. This new moon for you is happening in I should say, since I'm also Leo rising, our sixth house of Capricorn. And so this is always a time of year. If you missed the first part of this video, you really need to watch it, because I'm sure you're going to relate to a lot of it, and it's really important as well. So go back and watch it after this. But I talked about what Capricorn season is, but obviously it's from my perspective as a Leo rising, so you're likely going to relate. But so this is a time of year I always notice where it can be a little bit weird for us, because number one, like the calendar doesn't actually align with the astrological calendar. And so we're really kind of in this weird time where we're feeling this Capricorn sixth house energy of like, work, bitch, like get shit done, start getting back into your work and your routines and your habits, and, focusing on your reality and, the things that you need to do, your responsibilities, right? But we're coming off the holidays. The holidays aren't even over yet. Like, it's the end of the year, like kids are on break. Some of us may be on break, and, with our jobs, with work, whatever. So it's like all over the place still. And we're kind of slow and tired, and days are running together and all of that. So we really, don't always feel that Capricorn energy until like January. Like, we'll feel it, because we'll be like trying to like enjoy the break or trying to enjoy the holidays, but also have this nagging voice in our head of like, you need to get shit done. You got shit to do. Like you need to focus on your responsibilities. You need to focus on the things you got to do. You got to start setting boundaries. You got to start, making a schedule, planning things out, getting disciplined, yada, yada, yada. But because of what's actually physically going on, it can feel a little like, so don't beat yourself up too hard if you're feeling that way. Try to get some shit done so you feel better, because you will feel better getting some shit done. Like, I've been having to work a lot because I'm working on the 2025 horoscopes and doing readings and, spending time with family. Like, I've been having to do a lot of it, but, and I've been sick, and so I had to like, that really slowed me down. But I'm not like beating myself up for it. I'm like, okay, like I just was like, okay, like I'm doing what I can do when I can do it. That's how I'm going to manage this. And if the horoscopes are for 2025 are late, then they're fucking late, who cares? It's not that serious, right? Like, they'd probably only be a few days late, maybe a week, but it's all right, like people will live, like, so it's more so just like, not make sure that you're not making excuses, because that is going to make you feel like shit. And when you're lying to yourself, like when you can actually do something, but you're really just not, right? So it's not about like making excuses and, bypassing shit, but like, do what you can when you can. And once the new year starts, then you can really just jump into like go time and really start structuring your life the way that you want to and get back to the habits, the routines, the health, habits and routines you want to adopt, work, whatever the goals that you want to start implementing. That's when you can really start getting that shit done, right? And you'll feel good about it, right? You will feel good about it. And so, with that, though, the other really big part of the other thing, though, with this new moon is that it is sextiling Saturn in our eighth, which is the ruler of this new moon. So it is bringing in some kind of connection to our finances, our financial situations, our financial, like financial situations to do with others, things that we kind of share with others, or resources that we kind of share with others. And so in some way, those could be certain things and topics that we're kind of thinking about or that are coming up around this time. The other really big thing about this, and this is really, really huge for us, is Mars retrograde is coming back into its opposition with Pluto, which it has been, kind of dancing around for like the last several months now. And this is I'm sure you guys have already seen some big changes or some really big things going on in terms of your life in some way, dealing with topics of death, dealing with topics of mortality, dealing with topics of the shadow side of things, dealing with topics of powerlessness, dealing with topics of control or being out of control, things like that have really been like Pluto's been really teaching us, Leo rising, some lessons and kind of humbling us a little bit, honestly. And with Mars retrograde kind of slowing down and not moving at its normal pace, we're kind of like, we maybe at once started feeling confident in the beginning of December and started feeling like ourselves again and feeling like we're able to kind of move forward and face the things that we need to face. But then Mars went retrograde and now we're kind of like, like we're teetering on the edge. We're reflecting on a lot. We're revisiting a lot. There's a lot coming up from the past right now, and a lot to do with relationships and other people in our lives, and also our own shadow sides, right? Our own, like, seeing ourselves in different ways and seeing ourselves through different lens, and a lot of big, extreme, sensitive changes that we maybe aren't taking action on just yet, but that are happening within our identity, our body, our self, and our own sense of confidence and action and moving forward and making decisions, and relationships, other people in our lives that are close to us, powerful relationships or relationships, certain things going on in relationships that are really powerful and really potentially scary or whatever, right? And so these are really, really big lessons that this transit is trying to teach us right now. And so you really want to pay attention over the next week, what comes up again here and what you start noticing within yourself and within relationships. And then on January 6th, Mars is going to retrograde out of our sign and back into Cancer in our 12th house, where we are going to kind of let go of whatever we've been focused on with ourself for a little bit, and we're going to need to go within for a little while. And so again, we're going to want to be getting shit done, but we're also going to need to take some time to rest, recover, heal, go within, tap in spiritually, tap into our intuition again. Things that we may have been doing September and October timeframe, we're going to need to come back to and kind of re-establish that intuitive and spiritual connection, clean out anything subconscious that still needs to be cleaned out, and let go of anything from the past or old patterns, old habits, old addictions, etc., that need to be let go of once and for all. And so that is what I see coming up for us, Leo Risings. Let me know down below if this is relating and has related. And again, I give a lot more context and a really much wider perspective in the first half of this video that you're really going to relate to. I kind of talked about this new moon in the context of like the next month or two, to kind of help you zoom out a little bit to see what's going on. So definitely go back and listen to the first half of this video if you skipped ahead, because you're really going to relate. And let me know down below, definitely let me know down below if you're Leo rising, how you are noticing these themes play out in your own life, because it's really, really important. And so thank you guys, Leos. And we are moving on to Virgo risings. So for Virgo risings, this new moon is happening in your 5th house. So there's some kind of new beginning here going on with children, creativity, your hobbies, your passions, where you feel like you can kind of let loose or have some fun, entertainment, things like that. But because you have Capricorn here, which is a Saturn ruled sign, fun may be a little bit different for you or look a little bit different for you. You see the kind of responsibility and the consequences that can come with having too much fun. And so you may find fun through practical, simple ways, right? If you missed the first half of this video, go listen to that because I think it's really going to relate just with your horoscope here. But I think that you are going through this new moon right now to really come back to the basics in your life, to really come back to a sense of what is important to you, to come back to reality, to come back to the here and now, and that's what's going to feel good for you. Right now, this new moon's also bringing up something to do with your relationships with Saturn in your 7th, or how other people see you, or how you see other people in some way. And you're kind of like, I really kind of see this with Saturn being in your 7th, this new moon in Capricorn, your responsibility or your boundaries on either children or relationships, right? So that's kind of the themes that I'm noticing here. Like, what responsibility are you putting on yourself for other people that may not be yours, right? What boundaries do you need to set with other people? What responsibility are you putting on yourself with your children? And is that, like, obviously if they're little children, like, how do you want to manage that? But if they are grown children, then like, what is in your control and what isn't in your control? What can you take responsibility for? Or what burdens are you carrying that aren't really yours, right? How are you managing being a parent? How are you managing your children? How are you managing your love life and your relationships? Being more practical, letting go of what's not yours, and not allowing your emotions to overwhelm you as much, but learning to be a little bit more discerning, level-headed, practical, realistic, that grounded earth energy, right? To do with your love life, your relationships, certain, children, love affairs, projects, whatever, right? Now, the other really big transit that's happening right now is the Mars-Pluto opposition happening in your 12th and your 6th house. So this is really, really bringing up this kind of intense change that you've likely been going through. It's kind of like the second round of it, right? You've likely been going through intense changes over the last month to do with your health, your day-to-day routines, and your job, right? And those types of things, right? Like where you're usually thinking about putting a lot of mental energy into your health, your job, your day-to-day routines. Mars in your 12th is kind of pulling you and has been kind of pulling you out of that and really teaching you to have confidence and a inner sense of validation within without needing it externally from some kind of health routine or from some kind of job or work or, whatever, right? And so you've been really learning how to find that confidence and that joy within and that validation for yourself within. But with Mars opposite Pluto, you've also been learning, there's been a lot of humbling experiences that you may have been going through as well. Like maybe you had this sense of pride or ego at one point about yourself and about, what you could do or what you could accomplish, etc. Especially like with work or health or routines. And Pluto has come in opposite Mars and say like, no, in some ways you are similar to other people or you're like everybody else, and that can kind of feel a little bit humbling, right? And so it's like this push and pull between knowing where you're different and you're special and you are important, and having this inner sense of confidence and belief in yourself versus whatever is going on that's either out of your control or that is, chaotic, unstable, scary, unknown, going on in your health, work, or day-to-day life, right? In some way with Pluto here in your 6th. And so it could be bringing up a lot of things with your work, your health, your day-to-day life and routines, the things that you maintain or need to maintain on a day-to-day basis. It could be bringing up a lot of things to the surface that you weren't aware of over like the last month here. And this Mars-Pluto opposition could be you breaking some bad habits, you breaking addictions, maybe even surgeries with Mars, Mars and Pluto, that you're going through or dealing with around this time. And you kind of finding this balance between, you know, resting and kind of going within and being in the spotlight, but in a different way, like in a more internal way, in a more closeted way, right? Rather than, and kind of having this, like, almost, some of you may even feel like, oh, I want to just be like everybody else. I want to just, be able to, go to my job and fit in and keep my head down and whatever. But there's some kind of like push and pull here between these two areas of life. And I'd really, really love for you to let me know, if you're a Virgo rising, down below, how you are really noticing this Mars Pluto opposition in your 12th and 6th house. I definitely want to hear your feedback about that. So I really appreciate it if you could let me know down below. Okay, so moving on to Libra risings. So for Libra risings, this new moon is happening in your 4th house of your home, family, your past. You're the foundation of your chart, basically the foundation of your life, your private life, your parents, all of that. So your ancestry as well. So these are all topics you could really notice coming up around this time, as we are, moving into this new moon in Capricorn. Now, also, this new moon is sextiling Saturn, which is its ruler, and Pisces in your 6th house of your day-to-day health routines and work life. Okay, so there could be something going on where this is connected, like you're doing something with your health, but like at home or starting a new beginning. Maybe this new moon in Capricorn is also like, okay, I'm going to finally manage my family and my home life in some way. I'm finally going to take control of this because it's been a bit chaotic, or I'm going to start setting some boundaries, or I'm going to start setting up some structure here, or I'm going to rearrange the house and clean some shit out. I'm going to get rid of old shit that no longer belongs, or you're maybe even revisiting tradition in some way with your home and family right now. So that definitely could be happening. And then also, the real big thing with this new moon is Pluto opposite Mars. And, we've been having this on and off for like the last couple of months now. But we did kind of, deal with one round of this already. And what's happening here is this is going on in your 11th and your 5th house right now. And so this is definitely bringing up topics and themes and intense changes, intense things coming to the surface, intense patterns and transformations around how you view yourself socially, your friend groups, your social events, your networking, social media, and where you feel kind of important, special, or in the spotlight, or recognition, validation, themes around that, versus, your Aquarian 5th house, which is like, but on the inside, I'm kind of just like everybody else, or I have these like, weird hobbies or passions or whatever, or I'm, different themes like that, basically, right? So you get what I mean. I always try to find different ways to say the same thing for some reason and to make it a little more understandable, but you get what I mean. So basically, this could be bringing up a lot around like, what do you really desire and want, and does that match the social, the social gatherings, your social life, your friends, the groups that you hang around, right? Do you need to hang around like really flashy, like successful people? Is that what you really want? Or are you more attracted to something different or something a little outside of the norm or whatever, right? Like some things like this could be coming up. Topics on like rejection or fitting in versus standing out could be coming up as well for you as a Libra rising. So let me know down below, Libra risings. I'd really love to hear your feedback on this and how you're seeing this opposition play out for you. Your 5th house could also bring up like children, your creative projects, your creative passions, romance, relationships, things like that as well. So let me know how this is playing out for you. I'd really love to hear your feedback. And if you missed the first half of this video, you are missing out. So definitely go watch. Alrighty, Scorpio risings. For you, this new moon is happening in your third house, which is a little bit of a weird house, and it will sound a little bit vague because it is a weird house. It rules a lot of different things, and it's not really too crucial of a house. It doesn't really have like a ton of like powerful things associated with it, but it's basically your community, your local environment, your immediate environment, like your office that you drive to every day, or the coffee shop that you stop at every day, right? It's your neighbors, it's your city, it's like your town. It also can rule like your siblings and your immediate extended family members. It can rule like friends that you talk to every day. It can rule communication, learning pursuits, learning new skills, kind of like your daily rituals, right? Like your daily patterns and stuff like that. So this new moon here is starting some kind of new beginning here, where you may start wanting to manage your life in new ways. You may start feeling like, okay, it's time to get my shit together. It's time to get my environment together in some way. It's time to start running these errands I've been putting off. It's time to start doing these things I've been putting off, going to these places, whatever it may be, scheduling these appointments. Could be very third house. Working on this project or finally learning this new skill. It's like definitely you realizing and starting to feel like you need to become a little bit more busy and structure your life and your lifestyle a little bit more differently than you were previously, right? You could also be working on like creative endeavors, creative projects. Children could be involved with this, with the ruler of this new moon, Saturn, being in your fifth house. Something along those lines. Now, the really intense part of this time period right around this new moon is that Mars and Pluto are coming back into their exact opposition, with Mars retrograding in Leo and Pluto being in Aquarius. And so this for you is your 10th and 4th house. So this is a very powerful place for you. And this is where you're really going to be feeling a lot of shifts, and probably already have been over the last couple months now, to do with your career, your direction in life, your future. I know that I feel like I'm pretty sure almost every person that has gotten a reading with me in like the last few weeks has been a Scorpio risings. Like so many of you guys have been getting readings with me, and so many of you guys are at some major crossroads in your life, like leaving one life behind and starting a new one. It's been crazy. A lot of you guys have been like, are going to be like traveling, moving, etc. I've noticed. So, and it's really interesting because Mars was moving through Cancer, your 9th house. And so this new moon in Capricorn could be new beginnings, because maybe you moved and you're in a new town, or new beginning in your local environment because you are now realizing that you don't want to be in this town, city, etc. anymore. And so there's shit that you need to take care of so you can get moving, things like that. But with Mars being in your career house for like the last month now, you're really, really like, there's been a huge focus on what you want for your future. Coming back to a sense of confidence in your future, coming back to a sense of joy, purpose, meaning in your future, right? And your career and your legacy and your goals and all of that, right? And so, but with Pluto in the 4th house, there could be some worry, concern, potentially toxicity or old shit that's coming back to the surface, going on in your private life or with your family or with your home life, or something that's out of your control or something that's kind of unknown, going on there, and that's kind of pulling you to focus on your home and family, or let go of some of your own ambitions, or at least put them to the side, or kind of retreat on some of your own individual ambitions to kind of focus on what's going on in your personal life or what's going on in your home and family. And so it's really about figuring out like that balance and how to kind of mend these two opposites of like what you have control over, what you don't, what you have power over, what you don't, what you feel is like means the most to you, like, and what your priorities are. If you really want to shine in the world and go after your ambitions, there will be time for that in the year ahead. But if you do that prematurely and then you leave kind of this, unknown going on with your home, personal life, family, whatever, are you going to actually be able to enjoy these ambitions that you're going after, right? And so there's definitely something here that you are facing and dealing with that can feel tumultuous and heavy or serious or dark or just unknown or kind of scary or out of your control in some way with Mars opposite Pluto. And then on January 6th, Mars is going to retrograde back into Cancer, your ninth house, where you're really going to be, dealing with travel, education, those types of themes, like I know a lot of Scorpio risings were like moving back to like a home country, which is very Cancer in the ninth, or something like that. And so this will definitely be like, if you're not 100% sure if you want to do that yet, wait for Mars in Cancer to retrograde and go direct. It goes direct on February 23rd. You'll definitely know by that time if that's what you want to do. So anyways, let me know down below, Scorpio risings, if that resonated. And if you missed the first part of this video, you are missing out on a lot. So definitely go back and check that out. It gives you kind of a bigger and wider perspective of what's going on. And it's definitely going to relate to you in a lot of ways, but also not just what's going on right now, but what's coming and how to prepare for it and what to focus on right now, so you're kind of in sync and all of that. So definitely go check that out if you ended up skipping ahead. So okay, last but not least, Sagittarius risings, boo. Okay, so this new moon for you in Capricorn is in your second house of your money, income, resources, what you own, what's yours, basically, what's important to you, what you keep close to you, what you need to survive, like your actual needs, your actual priorities, and the things that you value. Right? And so this new moon here is coming in and starting something new, like planting some seeds for you to probably start thinking and wanting to manage your resources and what you have, what you own in a new way, or rearrange them in a new way, or get back to being more serious, conserving, and responsible and mature with these things as well. If you feel like you've been like spending a lot over the last few months, this is definitely a time where it's like, okay, I need to start conserving. I need to start saving up again. Or I need to start getting rid of all this old shit that I'm no longer, using. Or it's just you really focusing on your priorities, your resources, and the things that you really need to support yourself at this time. And somehow that could also be connecting with your home, family, personal, and private life in some way as well. Now, the really big transit we have happening around this new moon, that's going to be the really intense thing we're all feeling for like the next week or so, is Mars opposite Pluto again, happening in your third and ninth house, with Mars being retrograde in Leo and opposing Pluto in Aquarius in your third. And so there's been a lot going on over the last few months to do with potentially traveling, potentially you having certain desires or ambitions, maybe in a different country or in a different area, or maybe even having new ambitions to do with education and, certain educational pursuits and journeys that you want to go on, adventures that you want to go on, new things that you want to learn, new outlooks that you want to have, putting yourself out there, maybe even becoming some kind of teacher or something along those lines. But with Pluto in Aquarius in your third house, opposing Mars retrograde, it's kind of like you almost having to put some of these ambitions on hold for whatever reason, because there's something unknown going on around you, or unknown going on in your environment, or your local environment, or in your city, in your town, in your state, or with extended family members or siblings in some way, that can feel kind of like you're powerless over, or it's out of your control in some way, shape, or form. Something like that could be going on, or it could even just be with your family, home, and personal life, with Saturn being, the ruler of Pluto and Aquarius, and again, being in your fourth house. And so this new moon's coming in to be like, okay, if I really want to help here, or if I can do anything, my first priority needs to be figuring out my finances and really getting this shit together, and figuring out my finances and resources, and, making some changes here and rearranging some things and getting a little bit more structured here, right? So something like that could be going on. Mars will retrograde back from Leo and into Cancer on January 6th, and Mars retrograde will be in your 8th house of other people's money and finances. It could even be family matters, family financial matters, dependency, or like, motherhood, with Mars ruling your 5th house, or, being the parent, like your child and finances, or that, you know, someone that depends on you financially could come up, issues with that, conflicts that you need to resolve there, or just shared resources, finances, debts, investments, things that you owed other people or things that they owe to you, and really kind of working out, you know, basically certain security and safety issues financially so you can feel better about your finances, right? And so that's definitely going to be the shift happening over the next week. And if you want the bigger perspective, what's going on, like what to focus on now and why, because of what's going on over like the next month or so, check out the first half of the video. I give a much bigger perspective on why we need to focus on these certain things now. And what's coming and all of that. And so you will definitely relate to it as a Sag rising. So go back and check that out. And let me know down below, Sagittarius, if this resonated with you, what resonated or what you are noticing come up. Thank you so much for watching this. I appreciate it. And that is the end of this video. I will see you guys in the next one.